Have you ever felt disappointed, even when nothing went terribly wrong? Sometimes, our suffering doesn't come from what actually happens, but from what we expected to happen. It's a quiet kind of pain, one we rarely notice until it begins to weigh on the heart. Today, I'd like to share a story, one that may feel familiar. It's about a young man, a simple dream, and a lesson that transformed his view of the world. There was once a young man named Kaio, who lived in a peaceful village nestled between two mountains. He was quiet, gentle, and loved to paint. More than anything, he longed to bring beauty to his home and dreamed of creating something that would make people stop and feel joy, even if just for a moment. One spring, the village elders announced they would be repairing the stone wall that ran along the village square. When Kaio heard the news, his heart fluttered. This is my chance, he thought. If I paint a mural on the wall, maybe they'll see me. Maybe they'll remember me. He spent weeks preparing. Every morning he woke before sunrise, sketched designs, mixed colors, and practiced brushwork on old parchment. And when the wall was finally rebuilt, Kaio began to paint. A sweeping scene of mountains, birds in flight, children laughing, and the great river that ran through the valley. Villagers passed by as he worked, nodding politely or glancing for a moment before continuing on. Kaio told himself they were just busy. Surely when it was done, they'd stop and admire it. And at last, after 21 days, the mural was complete. Kaio stood back, chest full, heart open, but something unexpected happened. Nothing. No one gathered. No one celebrated. The villagers continued with their errands, their chatter, their lives. A few complimented him in passing. One man even said, "Ah, nice painting," as if commenting on the weather. And then they moved on. Kaito's heart began to ache. That evening, he returned to the wall alone. The sky had turned orange, shadows long across the stone. He looked at his work, once his pride, and now all he could feel was emptiness. "Why did I even bother?" he whispered. "They didn't care. I gave them everything. And it meant nothing." Behind him, footsteps approached. It was an old monk named Daishi, who had quietly watched Kaio paint each morning from the temple steps. The monk stood beside him and said, "Your mural is beautiful." The birds seemed to move with the wind. Kaio looked down. "Thank you. But it doesn't matter. No one really saw it. No one felt what I wanted them to feel." The monk was quiet for a moment. Then he said gently, "When we give with expectation, we tie a rope around our heart. And when the world pulls in another direction, we feel it snap. How often do we do this? Give, speak, love, with strings attached. We may not see them, but deep down, we're often hoping for a reaction, for thanks, for praise, for someone to notice, for life to reward us in return. And when that doesn't happen, it hurts." In Buddhist teachings, suffering, or dukkha, often arises not from the world itself, but from our attachment to outcomes. Expectation is a subtle form of craving. We want things to go a certain way. We want people to behave a certain way. And when they don't, we resist reality. And suffering follows. But the truth is, the world is not here to fulfill our hopes. It simply moves, like wind through trees. And the more we try to control it, the more tired we become. Kaito thought his pain came from the villagers, but in truth, it came from within. From his desire to be seen, to be validated, to be praised. This doesn't mean we stop creating or giving or caring, but we begin doing these things from a different place, not to gain something, but simply as an expression of who we are. The Buddha taught, set your heart on doing good. Do it over and over again, and you will be filled with joy. Not reward, not recognition, but joy. The quiet kind that arises when our actions are free from clinging. So, how do we live with fewer expectations? Start by noticing when they arise. When you feel disappointment, pause and ask, what was I hoping for? Sometimes just seeing the expectation is enough to loosen its grip. Try offering something, a kind word, a smile, a gesture, without needing anything in return. Do it just to give, just to express the goodness in your heart. And in the stillness that follows, listen. That's the sound of freedom. Kaito returned the next morning, not to repaint, but simply to sit by the mural. He watched as the sunlight moved across the stones. Children played nearby. Birds flew overhead. And for the first time he smiled, not because others noticed, but because he no longer needed them to. When we let go of expectations, we begin to live in peace with what is. And in that space, joy arises, naturally, quietly, like the morning sun. Thank you for listening, dear friend. If this story touched your heart, I invite you to like, subscribe, or share it with someone who may need it. And until next time, may you walk gently, live freely, and expect nothing, but appreciate everything.